This event is organized to underscore the violations of freedom of expression and opinion, particularly in Azerbaijan, as we approach COP29. It seeks to bring attention to the critical importance of these fundamental rights, which are essentials for a functioning democracy and the protection of other freedoms. By highlighting specific cases and broader trends of repression, the event will share about the urgent need for international solidarity and action to support journalists, activists, and ordinary citizens who face persecution for voicing their opinions. As mentioned in the Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, freedom of expression and opinion is a fundamental right, highly essential for the democracy. Journalists, in particular, perform an essential function by disseminating information, uncovering abuses, and fostering public discussion on various issues. Their role is critical in ensuring that citizens are well informed and are able to participate meaningfully in societal debates. Without a free and independent press, it becomes very difficult to maintain transparency and governance and to hold those in power accountable for their actions. The COP Conference of the Parties is a crucial platform for climate discussion. The decisions made at this conference are taken to have significant impacts on our future. As this year COP29 will happen in Baku, in Azerbaijan, this event marks a significant milestone, not only for Azerbaijan, but also for the entire international community committed to address one of the most pressing challenges of our time. As a high number of global leaders, journalists, scientists, and activists will attend this event. Last year, COP28 that happened in Dubai saw around 90,000 attendees. Among them figured over 150 head of states and governments. Journalists played a vital role in covering the discussions at COP29 and holding decision makers accountable. Their work ensured that the public is informed about the progress and setbacks in the climate negotiations. Through their reporting, journalists provide a transparent and comprehensive coverage of climate issues, highlighting the commitment made, the actions taken, and the challenge faced by different nations. Their freedom of expression is essential to ensure that the stories are told accurately and without bias. In the recent month, the Azerbaijani government intensified actions against independent medias, in civil society organizations, and environmental activists that have led to a disturbing rise in the number of individuals being sentenced for their activities. This is a very alarming trend which not only threatens the fundamental rights of Azerbaijani citizens, but also casts a shadow over the spirit of COP29, which relies on open dialogue, transparency, and inclusive participation. From November 2023, tens of journalists are now imprisoned and accused by the government for their willing to speak freely, as the country is currently holding over 300 political prisoners. Today, you will hear some of the personal stories of Azerbaijani journalists. We have the pleasure to welcome Samat Rahimli, member of Toplum TV and founding board member of the Third Republic platform, and Arna Orujov, redactor-in-chief of Canal 13 and brother of the arrested journalist Aziz Orujov. And we thank you for being present. I will now pass the floor to our speakers. If we have some time for questions at the end of the event, we will process a Q&A session. I'm pleased to hand over to Mr. Rahimli, who will share his personal experience and testimonies. You have the floor.
Hello everyone. I hope it's okay. Hello everyone. My name is Samat Rahimli. I'm a human rights lawyer. I work also as a lawyer, legal representative in Toplum TV case, and I also provided legal support, informational manner to the Toplum TV. I'm also a member of the IDI, Institute for Democratic Initiatives, which is a joint organization which is initiated Toplum TV. What's Toplum TV? It is in brief, Toplum TV is one of the last pieces. Toplum TV belongs one of the last pieces in Azerbaijan, which part of critical online media. We haven't since 2014 critical print media in Azerbaijan. All critical and oppositionary print media ceased its activities due to previous crackdowns. But online media, online critical media, especially in the age of IT development, continue. But right now, we have this problem, and Toplum TV belongs this group of critical media entities in Azerbaijan. Toplum TV, and also one of the features of Toplum TV is that Toplum TV is in Azerbaijan is the only sole media entity inside Azerbaijan, providing whole day online YouTube-based coverage. So its importance is that it's not only provided general information to the public, but it also provided continuing media coverage whole day and informing the public. It's about mainly Toplum TV, and Toplum TV also for in Azerbaijani journalism, critical Azerbaijani journalism. Toplum TV's importance also lays down on the matter that Toplum TV engaged in creation new brand of journalism, new people came to the Toplum TV and then continued their media activities in different areas. So it was a hub for new brand of journalism in Azerbaijan. What happened to Toplum TV? As a lawyer, as a human rights lawyer, I many times spoke about what happened to freedom of expression, media problems in Azerbaijan in recent 10 years. And we have freedom of information problem so many years, and it's not new kind of problem for us. But for now, for this type of crackdown, we faced with a crackdown in annihilative nature. They only don't want to push out some people or silence some people or to manage some kind of retaliation. It's the last crackdown, this current crackdown, it's not about some kind of incidental issues. It's a systematic annihilation program against Azerbaijani critical NGOs and critical media. Right now, due to this crackdown, we lost all kind of presence in Azerbaijan, inside Azerbaijan, I mean. Outside Azerbaijan, we can continue our operations, but inside Azerbaijan, critical NGOs, critical civil society, and independent non-aligned media lost all their presence due to this arrest and others. In Toplum TV, in the specific case of Toplum TV, previously Toplum TV faced some kind of cyber attacks and also faced other kind of push-outs by the government. But in the March of this year, 2024, police forces, Baku Metropolis General Police Department, the main investigative body, the operational police officers from this police department conducted a raid in the Toplum TV's office in Baku, and they briefly arrested who staff at that time worked at the premises of the office. And not only staff of the Toplum TV, but also this building also shared by the IDA staff, and IDA staff also briefly arrested. Most of these people released later at that date. This raid happened 6th of March of 2024. But they required and they forced to hand out their mobile information, opening password and give information. They summoned laterly, and at that date, the police officers tried to force them to give incrementary testimonies against the leadership of the Toplum TV. But few staff mainly leadership part, they were arrested at that date, not released, and then charged the next date, and also at that time their cases sent it to the court, district court, for pretrial detention request, and pretrial the district court granted pretrial detention request and remanded 7 people from Toplum TV, IDI, and Turkey Public Platform for during 4 months of remanding custody. The charge against them officially is conspiracy to commit bulk cash smuggling, and the only basis of charge, only initial evidence of the charge is bulk cash found discovered at the office in different amounts, around 30,000 euros. And when this search conducted, there was no presence of any lawyer. They don't provide right to legal counsel participate in the search. And also the people who are arrested, they were under effective control of the police officers. That's why they couldn't effectively participate in this search. So there is a reasonable ground to believe that the police officer planted this cash money to later to charge these journalists and activists who were arrested from the media. So this is the only available evidence against the basis as a basis of charge of and it's not new trend for Azerbaijan. If you are not so familiar with the situation, previously in 2014 they also used similar schemes for arresting and charging people. Later, European Court of Human Rights, in the respective complaints by the applicant at that time from 2014 crackdown, ruled that the right, not only the right to liberty and security of these arrested persons violated, but also their detentions based on improper political motives. It was called Article 18 violation. So we right now we see the same trend in Azerbaijan, but it is much more harsher, and with a difference. 2014, it was conducted not only against leadership group but also full staff, and that's why currently we couldn't manage any kind of operations in Azerbaijan. Also, before this arrest, there was a slander and libelous campaign, media campaign, by pro-governmental media against Toplum TV, Interalia, and also other media entities and other activists. The basis of this slander and smear campaign was that these people are Western puppets, these people are foreign agents, they are traitors, they are breaking NGO legislation. Even Foreign Minister of Azerbaijan, in their summoning of some ambassadors from Western countries, Germany, I guess, Belgium, France, they told in this briefing with these embassies that these people are breaking NGO legislation. But the official charge is not related to NGO legislation. It's a different language. Okay, that's all what happened right now and what happened to Toplum. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. I will now pass the floor to Mr. Orujo.
Dear friends, dear colleagues. Yeah, as my colleague Samet Rahimli already told that the general situation about the media crackdown of civil society in Azerbaijan, I would like also to give the example of Channel 13, which I am presenting here. This person is my brother. Maybe you don't see his photo correctly. But this is actually the second arrest of Aziz Orucov for his journalism activity during last 6 years. Channel 13 is one of the first and biggest online TV channels in Azerbaijan. We started this channel in 2008, and always we were under the strong pressures of the government. So just after several years founding of this TV, I had to leave Azerbaijan. Since 10 years, more than 10 years, I've been living in Germany. And after which I left Azerbaijan, my brother, he stayed in Azerbaijan, and he always was under the pressure of the government. And he was arrested first time in 2017 with the box charts, with fabricated charts again. And when Azerbaijan government started to make new pressures against independent media, civil society representatives, then Channel 13 has two other media outlets like Toplum TV and Avdas Media was one of the target of the government. And unfortunately, a difference, unlike the arrest of all the journalists, in Azerbaijan more than 20 journalists are in prison right now, just after the November of last year. To make specific target, these three media outlets, including Channel 13, that not only one journalist from our teams are in prison right now. When my brother was arrested, Aziz Orucov was arrested in 28th of November last year, just after 3 days of him, the one more moderator of our TV channel, the daily political shows moderator, was arrested. 10 days after his arrest, Baku City Court made a decision for blocking Channel 13 in the territory of Azerbaijan Republic. Just after several days, one more journalist of our team was arrested. So right now, we have two journalists in prison and they are pre-trial detention period. Yesterday, pre-trial detention period was extended for more 3 months. They are already 7 months in prison, and according to yesterday's decision, they will stay there 3 more months, and it will be hopefully that at the end of this period, the case will be sent to the court. It will not prolong it again. So all this, as Samet Rahimli told here, all these charts, all these accusations against the journalists, they are fabricated. They are all about the money smuggling, like we got the donor support outside of Azerbaijan and used this money inside of Azerbaijan and provide this money to the Azerbaijan with illegal ways. So what happened in fact? As a Channel 13, we don't work with the many international donor organizations. So we are self-funding organization because we have 2 YouTube channels. One of them is in English language, Channel 13 Global. The second one is in Azerbaijan language, Channel 13 News. And we mainly stay on outfits to make money from YouTube. And the method which Azerbaijan government used for accusation of my brother and other team members was that, for example, the car dealers from Azerbaijan, they're coming to Germany. Of course, they have interest to get some money inside of Germany to buy cars. And then they say that, okay, if you give me 2,000 euros, I will provide it inside of Azerbaijan to your family. And according to official charge, Channel 13 during last 4 years get 90,000 manas, which are about 50,000 euros from the donor organizations, and that's why 2 members of Channel 13 are in prison right now, and all other members of channel, team members, they are under travel ban, and the bank accounts are all frozen. This is the one part of the pressure. The second part related with the family members. My mother is 75 years old, and when my brother was arrested, he's retired, she's retired. His bank cards was blocked, so she was not able to get his retirement pension, her pension from the ATMs. And the cars, all of that which belongs to our family, they also was not confiscated, but they are under arrest right now. So what would like to discuss, to ask the international community, as you know, this COP29 is going to be held in Azerbaijan, and we think that is one of the unique opportunities to push the Azerbaijani government, to urge the Azerbaijani government, I don't know, maybe to find some ways to work with the Azerbaijani government in order to get released to these arrested journalists. Because we think that if international community is not going to use these methods against the Azerbaijani government, which is doing Azerbaijani authorities, which is increasing these pressures year by year, even the month by month, and week by week during the last several months, these pressures will not be stopped. And we think that if we miss this COP29 chance, which is the biggest event of this year, most probably, and it will be very hard to release these journalists, which is the number of them, more than 20, and overall the number of political prisoners is more than 300 in Azerbaijan. So we would like to ask you to ask the all member states of the UN who is going to have some negotiations with the Azerbaijani government in order for holding this COP29 to use effective methods how to get improving of human rights situation of Azerbaijan, because the climate change is also the humankind. Yes, we're going to stop the climate change because of humankind, and if the people is in arrest in Azerbaijan, if the human rights defenders, if the independent journalists, if independent NGO representatives are in prison in Azerbaijan, then there is no meaning to hold this event, this big event inside of Azerbaijan, if there is no any respect to the human rights in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excuse me, maybe you can put
Yes. We will put a video. You can comment it in 1 minute.
Yes, this video, just a very short video. This video was filmed when my brother was arrested in front of his small daughter. She is 3 years old. The police is inside.
Tamam.
Yok geleceğim.
Kuzum koy doktora geçsin gelsin.
Geldiler, kuşum geldiler.
Ana dur
Geldiler,
gel.
geldiler.
Mati doktora geçsin gelsin sonuçta.
That was the moments when my brother was arrested. And his 3 years old small daughter tried to keep her father from the arrest.
Thank you very much. I will now pass the floor to Ms. Nazaret, human rights advocate, that will share some about particular cases happening in Azerbaijan.
Thanks, Adrian, and many thanks to my fellow panelists and speaking. After such a touching and emotional video, it's kind of hard for me seeing the father being taken away from the family is very hard, and it's unfortunately happening not only in one family, as my colleagues already mentioned. There are 300 political prisoners who were taken away for undergoing persecution, undergoing arrests, and it's been overwhelming in Azerbaijan since it got the presidency status, and that's why actually we co-organized this side event on freedom of expression at COP29, because we foresee COP29 as a unique opportunity to address the international community while Azerbaijan is still at the spotlight. Baku will host enormous amount of party members, observers, stakeholders, and while engaging in discussion on climate, we should highlight that human rights concerns are key priority. They shall be prioritized. During the Bonn meetings earlier this year, the UNFCCC subsidiary body for implementation highlighted that all related events shall be, and let me quote, convened in places where all participants are effectively protected against any violations or abuses. And that's why we we are alarmed by an increased number of arrests and pressure on the independent media and human rights activists, which was acknowledged not only by us, the human rights community, but as well the European Union. It's in its official resolution as of April 25th, 2024. Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe members and major international organizations like Reporters Without Borders, Amnesty, European Federation of Journalists, and major media players like Deutsche Welle, Voice of America, Guardian, and many, many others. Can we change the slide, please? Yeah. So the arrest that actually shattered the human rights community was the arrest of Anar Mammadli, a prominent human rights defender. He's the leader of the country's biggest independent election watchdog, Election Monitoring and Democracy Studies Center. He was also a member of the COP29 Climate of Justice Initiative, a coalition of 5 local NGOs established in Baku to leverage COP29 as a facilitator of positive changes in the country's policies. And Anar presented his initiative at this very place, at the Human Rights Council session. The event was organized by our fellow human rights advocate, the Human Rights House Foundation, in March. And shortly after his return to Baku, he was arrested. It happened on April 29, 2024, and he was accused of money smuggling. Actually, the very same charges that we were talking about earlier related to Toplum and Absatz media. So the Climate of Justice Initiative itself, after the arrest of Anar Mammadli and after the ongoing pressure from the government, it was forced to terminate its activities in mid-June this year. They officially made a press release saying that the coalition is no longer operating. The founders claim, and I'm quoting, "The pressure on representatives of free media and independent civil society is still ongoing. Offices are closing, community activists are leaving the country. In such situation, the activity of civil society is impossible." And I would like to emphasize that the Climate of Justice Initiative was a single independent coalition within the country, and they viewed a COP29 as an opportunity to promote civil liberties, public participation, and environmental justice in Azerbaijan. We firmly believe that ensuring opportunity for local people to engage in climate discussion and putting Azerbaijani people interest in priority has to have its place while we're talking about COP29. And we would like to call on all major stakeholders, on parties and observers, NGOs, to ensure that the freedom of expression and assembly within Azerbaijan will be upheld during the COP29. And we strongly believe, as our fellow colleagues already mentioned, that there's going to be no climate justice without human rights.
Thank you, Zara. I will now pass the floor to Ms. Pavlova, Senior Advocacy Officer for the Institute for Borders, Freedom and Safety. You have the floor.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you to all my colleagues and also to all the distinguished delegates and my NGO colleagues who are present here today. I also would like to especially thank Aziz for sharing the video of his brother. I think it's something very personal, but I think it's a reminder to all of us that all the names that we have been reading, all the names of these detained people are not only names. These are people who have families, friends, relatives, loved ones who are waiting for them. And actually, as we've just came back from Vilnius from the International Anti-Corruption Conference, we've discussed a lot about the role of journalists in the fight against kleptocratic regimes and be it corruption, be it climate, be it freedom of expression. Journalists are on the front lines, and journalists are also those who take a lot on them because they dare to affront the nepotism, they dare to affront the violations, and they dare to speak up. So our director in Geneva could not be present today, but he prepared a list of imprisoned journalists, and according to the Safety of Journalists platform of the Council of Europe, currently 23 media employees are in prison in Azerbaijan. according to our statistics, the list is longer. These are at least 30 people. And as we are approaching COP29, the list is also growing. But at the same time, I would like to say that at some point there will be no more people to be put on the list because they will be all in prison. So we've been working in exile for quite a long time, trying to speak up and ensure that the world knows and the international community doesn't stay silent. We also believe, as my colleague Diana said, that COP29 is a unique opportunity for member states and international community to put pressure on Azerbaijan to uphold the basic principles of human rights, starting from the freedom of expression. And I also would like to remind that Azerbaijan is a permanent member of the Council of Europe, yet it has been a member since 2001 for 23 years, and never before so many journalists been imprisoned at the same time. Let me just read briefly the names of our colleagues who are currently, you can see all of them on the screen. So it's Savinch Bayikli from Abzats Media, Ulvi Hassani from Abzats Media, Nargis Absalamova, Elnara Gasimova, Mamahad Kekala from Abzats Media, Hafiz Babali from Abzats Media. From Canal 13 is Aziz Orwich and Sharnal Emin. From Toplum TV, Ali Zainal, Ramil Babayeva, Ilkin Amhamov, Mushki Jabhar, Alazgir Mamad. From Zural TV, we have Ama Zainal. We have Polat Aslanov, the journalist, Temur Karima from Canal 11, Elvin Isaev, the blogger, Ulnur Shukurov, journalist, Mahir Al-Kavor, journalist, Afhan Kamilev, blogger, Nazakat Mamadova, Alpha TV, Arzu Sayadoglu and Osman Rzayev, Aslan Gurbanov, journalists, Rashad Ramazanov, blogger, Jamil Mamadli, journalist, Imran Aliyev, Meklitz Info, from Toplum TV again, Akib Kurbanov, from Abzats Media, Farid Meharalidze, and Famil Zalilov, the blogger. And as I mentioned, the space for the journalists in Azerbaijan is shrinking. The space for those who can be present in the state and still speak up freely is limited. Our colleagues have pressure, consistent pressure on not to speak up on certain issues and to still be able to speak up on minor issues to ensure that there is some kind of visibility of the freedom of expression. And yet, as soon as something touches the most important, corruption, environmental, human rights violation issues, there is no freedom of expression and there is no whistleblowing, there is no one who can actually stand against the government within the country. This is why our call today is to still ensure and build up the capacity of it outside of the country and ensure that exile-based journalists can still do their part of the work. We still have a huge community in Azerbaijan who is willing to speak up but cannot. So ensuring that we can remain in touch with them and even inviting them to this side event could be a possibility for us, but none of them is ready to reveal their names because all of them are fearing for their families and loved ones, not even for their own lives, because these are people who value justice more than their personal well-being. I would like to end on this one. We're open for questions if you have any, but I just want to briefly and very quickly also tell you about a few other cases of our fellow journalists. It is especially the case of Famil Khalilov, who is disabled human rights activist, who is currently, he's suffering from both arms paralysis, and he is currently in jail for drug smuggling charges. He is lacking vital medical help, and he and his family members, including 2 minor daughters, faced ill treatment from the police over the investigation process and interrogation. Another person suffering currently of medical treatment is Hafiz Babali, who has mitral vision problems. He was arrested in connection to Abzats Media case and charged with money smuggling. These are only, as I mentioned, a few people, and the number of these cases is growing. The charges are always the same, more or less the same, so we always see the pattern. the ill treatment, the lack of medical help is also something that is a consistent violation of any international law and basic humanitarian law. So actually, with the situation in the country today, with that many journalists being imprisoned, with that many political prisoners, around 300 people, most of them have been imprisoned for the last few months, and most of them also have been imprisoned, as you mentioned, as a revolving door, so for the second or for the third time. We do not see how a conference of international employer like COP29 can be held in Baku while we are still struggling of ensuring the well-being of the society, of the democratic society in the country. Thus, this is also not only a problem to be solved during the COP29, it is also the problem to be addressed before. Like, how can we go and how can we represent our country while all these people who have been shouting to us and speaking to us for the past few months are in prison for just trying to attract our attention. And I believe that the more pressure we put on Azerbaijan, who, as I mentioned, is still a member of Council of Europe, is a member of Human Rights Council, is a member of many international organizations, and is a hosting country of an international event, the more pressure we put, the more we can achieve and the more we can hope that all these people, or at least part of them, can be released. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So we will have some time for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and if you ask directly somebody, yes, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you very much for this very insightful session and also quite heartbreaking. I was wondering, my question is aimed at everyone in the panel. I was wondering if maybe you could speak to how media organizations outside of the country, such as, for example, Meydan TV, which I believe is based in Berlin, how such media organizations can maybe leverage and enhance media pluralism inside the country, and also not just media pluralism, but also media literacy among the population, which from my understanding is also lacking. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes? Sorry, Greg.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, colleagues. Human Rights House Foundation. Since you raised Anar's case, I feel compelled to speak. We were the organisation that hosted and organised the side event of the March session of Human Rights Council, the 5th session, that Anar was a speaker at. Just to give a little bit of context, we hosted, I think, some 10 or 12 Azerbaijanis last year in the context of the UPR process here in Geneva. All were willing to come, all very much publicly engaged with the process, with delegations here in Geneva. Following this kind of intense crackdown over the December, January, February period in Azerbaijan in the run-up to the presidential elections, we decided it was a worthwhile venture to have a side event specifically focused on Azerbaijan at the last session. We again asked our civil society colleagues who was willing to come and to participate here in Geneva, and basically none of those who had previously come last year were willing to come just a few months later, given the intensity of the crackdown and the fear of potential reprisals. Anar Mammadli did come. He's a former political prisoner himself. He knew and voiced the kind of reality of the potential risks that he faced. Nevertheless, he decided to come. We as an organization took precautions. We didn't advertise his name on our public flyer about the event. The only way you would have potentially known he was here in Geneva would have been to be in this room at the event, to have seen him on the panel. And then, as of course we've heard, subsequent to the event, he was picked up off the street in Baku on his way to collect his child from kindergarten. He was discovered in pretrial detention. He's there until August, and is And this, I mean, we talk about Azerbaijanis, there's also a wider reflection for many of our civil society colleagues in the region. This is no longer a safe place to come to speak in relation to the human rights situations in their home countries. And indeed, we address his case and others as a reprisal with the President of the Human Rights Council, with the Office of the Assistant Secretary General. But there we go, he remains in detention. Again, thank you to the panel. My question to you is this. Azerbaijan is obviously not formally on the agenda of the Human Rights Council, or indeed it's very unlikely to be so in the near future. Given that we do have COP coming up in November in Baku, and given that there are some delegations here, what are the concrete assurances that states can be seeking from Azerbaijan, at the very least behind the scenes, ahead of COP, and not just in relation, of course, to Azerbaijani civil society, but also international civil society that will be descending on the city, you know, for these very important climate negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, any speakers?
About Meydan TV, Meydan TV's difference when Meydan TV as a project was initiated in 2013 or 14, around 6 years. It was initiated as a part of Azerbaijani electoral agenda by Emimili, Stremili, and Mr. Happy Muntazir. Previously, in 1 or 2 years, Meydan TV was still operated as one of the part of Azerbaijani critical media. But what they achieved, I believe, mainly is that they could touch people's problems, actual problems. So with this, with touching people actual problems, providing media coverage on that, helped Meydan TV to access much more Azerbaijani public audience, despite they didn't operate it. Right now, also they do not operate in Azerbaijan. Helped this that they gained audience, and based on this audience, then they took some measures like how to professionally to conduct the media issues in Azerbaijan. I believe these two, first gaining media with touching people's real problems, and gaining their confidence, helped Meydan TV to get some prominent place in Azerbaijan critical media, and then using professional trainings and so on, that they right now manage to give much more quality standards media coverage in Azerbaijan. But I believe that first foot soldiers of Meydan TV, one of them is by the way, is 75 is there. They courageously stayed in Azerbaijan 2 or 3 years, and they had traveled by at that time. And despite all of these pressures, they continue to touch people's problem, to go when people need them and where people need them. And I remember one thing, that in 2019 protest, it was against partial political prisoner issue, this protest, and partially economic problems. Many people say that where is Meydan TV? We are looking for them. So courage, touching people's problem, and then not stopping here, getting much more professional, helped shaping their current presence. Okay. About, as I understand, the question was related to using avenues like COP29 effectively. Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and just assurances, what are the concrete assurances when states are having dialogue with Azerbaijan? What should they be asking for concretely before COP?
Still, Azerbaijan, despite Azerbaijan's current crackdown, we know that Azerbaijan has considerable amount of trade with Western countries, especially EU, and we know that its financial system is still dependent on US-based monetary system. So that's why Azerbaijan and the government still gives importance to good image in the West, despite current rhetoric. I believe it's we can speculate that why they changed tune against the West such wildly, but still, what I see from the standpoint that still Azerbaijan and the government wants good image in West. If such kind of I actually don't believe the effectiveness of dialogue with Azerbaijan government. I believe much more harsher measure against sanctions. But what if such kind of dialogue happened, let's say, in effective manner or partially effective manner, then I believe that at minimum the requirement should be like this. You should return pre-November 2003 period, status quo ante from November 2003. If and you should release all people which are arrested since this period, and you should provide them the previous condition, at least previous conditions, that they can operate it in not the jure manner but de facto manner. That I don't believe that they will provide would provide general reforms, that democratic reforms, human rights reforms in Azerbaijan, but at least if they agree that to release around 50 political prisoners arrested since November 2003, and if they allow that returning back to offices at that time, at minimum, I believe, then such kind of dialogue, if they agree, then if such kind of dialogue can be conducted, I believe. But it also, I know that many people, one more thing if possible, I know that many people, especially in the Western diplomatic corpus or foreign policy establishment, think that we should deal with Azerbaijan government, especially Ilham Aliyev, with cautious manner. And actually, Ilham Aliyev government misuse from this point. Currently, Ilham Aliyev, I believe that employs madman theory. That we all know that this is a very, very, very well-known concept. That if I act much more, if I escalate the situation, they will de-escalate the western part and so on. So I don't believe that Azerbaijan government can live with much more pressure, like some kind of economic sanctions. Especially in Kubat-Badol case, we saw this, that the day after the United States Senate, one of the senator of United States Senate, declares that she is interested, she is giving to floor the sanctions bill against Azerbaijan government individuals, targeted sanctions. I don't mean general sanctions. The day after this, Mr. Kubatbado, and his name especially mentions there, he was released to house arrest. So I believe that carrot and stick example, carrot doesn't work for Azerbaijan, stick should work. But if some people, some groups have good relationship with Azerbaijan government, minimum precondition should be pre-November situation.
I'll just quickly add up because Samad was quite consistent on answering all the questions. We do try to build more capacity for exile-based journalists outside of Azerbaijan, because building capacity within the country is absolutely impossible. What we can do is still maintain our networks within the country who can participate in collecting information and sending information to us, but more effort has to be put into really creating an independent exile-based community who will have necessary means to, even for example for journalists who relocate, EU has amazing relocation programs, but these programs do not allow journalists to further continue their work in terms of, am I relocating to a EU country, but what am I going to do there? How am I going to continue my fight? And for a lot of them, this relocation is not possible because they have family members, they have mothers and fathers, and you need to know that it's a country where traditions are that you do not leave your parents within the country, and I don't think that any of us would like to do it if we had to. So the idea is really to build more capacity. There is, as Samad mentioned, a lack of political will from the West to do so for apparent reasons, and the lack of will to put more pressure, but I absolutely agree, and everybody in the community of exile-based journalists agree that this is a fear that is not, it's based maybe on some past experience, but it doesn't apply to the current government. The more pressure is put, and especially the more pressure to the good image that Azerbaijan is trying to create by greenwashing the reputation with this kind of events like COP, the more we can achieve tangible results. And I would say the very, very first step would to provide medical care to all the prisoners who need it. To release all the prisoners whose medical condition, like the case of Famil, do not allow them to stay in prison. So this would be like the little milestones that has to be taken now, and then build in even more pressure on returning back to the November 23 situation. Thank you.
So if there is not any more remark, I think we're going to conclude this event. I would like once again to thank all of the speakers for coming, and I would like to thank you all delegates for coming, and we look forward to talk to you more after the side events about this concerning topics. Thank you very much and have a good day.